In this video, I'll cover how to set goals that actually set yourself up for success rather than setting goals that set you up for failure and frustration. So let's look at a typical goal that a lot of people have when they first join their business. I know I had one very similar to this. And that's achieving $100,000 a year by your third year in building your business. So what do? Well, you have that $100,000 mark by the end of year 3. So you work backwards to year 2, and you said, if I want to make a $50,000 a year my second year, and my first year I'll make $15,000. And then you break that down into month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, and so on. And then once you have that established, those stepping stones or those sub goals, you then move on to creating what you'll do on a weekly or monthly basis to achieve that income. So things like sponsor 8 people a month, help my team sponsor 20 people a month, get 5 customers a month, and so on. So what happens when you set goals like this and you go out there and start doing it? Well, you start off with the best intentions and you're really working hard towards that goal. So in my example, the first month's goal was to make $500 that month and to sponsor 8 people. Well, let's say I only make $100 that month or make nothing, and I fail to sponsor anyone. Well, that carries over into the second month. And you say, okay, well, that was month 1. I won't let it bother me. I'll just double my efforts this month and make some extra money and sponsor more people. And then that second month, sub goals you set, you don't hit. And that carries over to the third month and then fourth month and then so on. And then what happens is that you start getting frustrated, you start doubting yourself, you start feeling like a failure, and you go into a downward spiral oftentimes rather than focusing on the success you're having or focusing on the things that you need to have. And a lot of times this will repeat itself, and then after a couple months of that, you just wipe away all those goals, get refocused and get remotivated, and then do that same goal setting, then that same goal failure and frustration over and over again. And I've done that a few times myself. And after doing that, I said, okay, I can't keep doing this because I'm going to go crazy. And obviously it's not working. And I saw a lot of other people who were setting goals like that having the exact same failure rate. And after I started analyzing what was working for me and looking at what worked for other people, I realized there are 2 main flaws with this traditional goal setting method. Problem number 1 is that stuff happens. Life happens, unexpected things happen, stuff just happens. It's always unexpected. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and sometimes it's just stuff that happens that you have to take care of. And we all know this. So stuff just happens. And doing that traditional goal setting doesn't allow for that. The second problem is that it's outcome focused. Is that saying, okay, the first step I'll do in achieving my long-term goal is I'll go out there and make $500 a month and I'll sponsor 8 people this month. Well, I'll tell you what, you can't always achieve goals like that. Even when I've been doing this business for years and years and years, I can't always sponsor 10 people a month, or I can't always sponsor 5 people a month. And then right there, you're setting yourself up for failure and that cycle again. So here's the solution. For problem number 1 of just stuff happening and life happening, just accept it. I'm sorry, for those goal programs out there that say, ignore that stuff, push it off to the side, stay focused on your goal, I think that's complete BS. Yes, you want to stay focused on your goal, but when stuff happens, like a family emergency happens, or your significant other has an issue, or this happens, or something happens at work, you have to handle it. You can't just ignore it. So first off, just accept it and build that into your goal setting program and the way you build goals. So when you do this, rather than getting frustrated and sidetracked by these things all the time, rather you have it built into your goal setting program and you just take it in stride, and it might knock you off for a day or 2 or whatever, but it doesn't create that stress and that anxiety and that doubt in yourself and that fear of failure. The second solution is focus on activities rather than outcomes. And I'll give you an example. So I wanted to sponsor 8 people a month. Well, rather than saying I want to sponsor 8 people a month, let's figure out what I would need to do to sponsor 8 people a month. Well, if I'm brand new in the business, I really don't know what it takes to sponsor 8 people a month. Now that I've been in it for 10 years, I know exactly what I need to do. And so I have to do a certain, talk to so many people, whether that is people in my personal network or people that come off one of my marketing websites. Generally, let's just say 1 out of 10, for example's sake. So every 10 people I talk with and present the business with, 1 person will sign up. So if I want to sponsor 8 people this month, rather than saying I'm going to sponsor 8 people this month, say I'm going to talk and present to 80 people this month. And then by the law of averages that if you do 80 presentations this month, you'll probably sponsor 8 people. And you might not sponsor 8 people this month, maybe you sponsor 6, but then the next month you sponsor 10 people and it'll average out. But the reason I like this is at the end of the month or the end of the week or the end of your goal setting period, you can always cross it off or check it off your list. You can say, you know what? I did my 80 presentations, or I talked to my 80 people. I did what I needed to build my business. And rather than you constantly not achieving your sub goals to your bigger goal, now you're constantly achieving the goals. And this creates an upward spiral of success rather than a downward spiral of success. And this upward spiral of success builds off of itself, and it gets better and better each month. And that carries over into your mood, your confidence, your positivity, or being how positive you are, and so on. And it just keeps making you better and better. And so I'll give you a few more examples of this. On the slide next to me is a very simple illustration I made for traditional goal setting, where it's linear or in a straight line. You start and you finish. So let's say I'm making $0 now in my business. I want to make that $100,000 a year by the 3rd year mark. So I'll do exactly this, and this, and I'll get there. Well, I already talked about why that doesn't work, because life happens. So the goal setting model that I use and that I teach everyone in my organization is what I call the zigzag method. And you can see my fancy illustration here next to me, to where you start at where you are, so $0 a month, and then working towards $100,000 a year is your long-term goal after the 3-year mark. And so you can see here, the path there is not straight, it's not easy, and you will, what I call, zigzag back and forth. You'll always be moving forward towards your goal, but it won't always be a direct route, and sometimes it takes you longer, or you zag this way, zig this way, because this is the way you achieve goals. This is the way I've seen everyone successful in life achieve their goals. Now, I think what happens, looking at myself and then watching other people I know, is that they may say they set their goals one way, like in that linear method, and maybe they do, but then when life happens or obstacles happen, they readjust. They might have that bulldog attitude where if something gets in their way, they deal with it and they get back on track. Whereas a lot of people, while you're brand new to the business or brand new to doing these things, you might not have that attitude and you might not understand that. And you might say, well, you know what, this is a system people use to set their goals and they have success with it. And so, that means I'm the failure. No, what I'm saying here is that system that most people teach and use to set goals, that goal setting system is the failure, not you. So that's why I like this zigzag method. It's much more realistic and a lot more people achieve their results. And when they do, they have more fun, there's less stress, they get more work done, and this is an overall much better experience. I see a much higher success rate in myself and in the people I coach and I mentor using this zigzag method. And in the next video, I'll walk you through the exact steps to set goals in the zigzag method and how to accomplish that.